so much for joining us tonight as the desperate search for an 8-year-old Idaho boy, Robert Manwill, come to a tragic end.
The tentative identification has been made of the body found in the New York Canal as that of 8-year-old Robert Manwill. Robert was reported missing more than 11 days ago. Some are demanding immediate answers. We understand and we appreciate the community's intense interest in this case and the compassion that so many of us feel for a lost child. For Robert's sake and the sake of his family, the answers we provide must reflect the answers that can only come from a thorough investigation. That investigation is still very much underway.
The mom's home had been searched. This was last Thursday that the mom's home had been searched. Another home had been searched north of her apartment. There was police and the sheriff's department digging around, taking pictures. Cars have been searched and taken into the police department. There's a opening to the canal. It's called the New York Canal. It's a pretty sizable canal with very steep concrete sides, and there is a point that he could have entered that within a half-mile from his mom's apartment, but where the body was found was over 5 miles away from Robert's mom's apartment.
Robert's family remains in close contact with the Boise police. Finding Robert will not be the end, but just the beginning of an entirely new investigation. Our priority remains finding answers for Robert's family and this community.
Let us go straight out to Greg Hahn, editor of the Idaho Statement, standing by live in Boise, Idaho. Tell us what was found, a little body floating in the canal.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, the whole community had been on high alert for a week, and they ended up getting 2 phone calls of folks who saw it. And it was pretty far outside of town. It was actually, we figure about, canal company person told us it was about 18 miles of water length, probably from where the Vista Boulevard, where the boy's apartment is, or the boy's mother's apartment is, and where the body was found. Of course, they still don't know where he went in, but they also say that's possible. We've had bodies drift 14 miles or more. They're pretty big, fast-moving canals here.
Greg, do you know when the body was found of this little boy? We don't know. It has tentatively been identified as Robert Manwill, not conclusively at this point. Was the body clothed? Was it not clothed? What can you describe about when that body was found?
You know, we haven't been told exactly what he was wearing, whether it was the same Spider-Man shirt and jeans that was described to us. I think they recognized pretty quickly that, and maybe from the age and the size, that it was somebody that could be. They cordoned us off pretty well. It was a fairly rural area, and even our photographers with big lenses, we wouldn't run a photo like that anyway, but they weren't getting anywhere close to it, so we're not 100% sure.
Tell us about this canal. Does it go through the entire city? How big is it? How deep is it? Is there a current in this canal?
It's 47 miles long, all told, and it winds all the way through all the, some of the major parts of the what is now a pretty urban area. It's kind of what the whole community was built on, that and a couple other canals, and has been around for 100 years, and is giant. I mean, it feeds thousands of acres. I mean, it used to feed even more farm acres before growth kind of hit here. And it's a very powerful, especially this time of year. There's a lot of irrigation going on, the heat of the summer. It is a big, deep, strong, occasionally wide, it varies, but it's a powerful body of water.
All right, to Clark Goldman, Nancy Grace producer, we are awaiting confirmation if this is in fact the body of little Robert Manwill, but I understand an autopsy was performed today?
Yes, Gene, that's our understanding as well. We have some breaking news. We've received part of the autopsy report from the county coroner, and we understand that the cause of death is being listed as unknown and pending investigation, but also important is the place of death is unknown. Investigators still trying to determine exactly where Robert may have died.
All right, let's go out to Dr. Marty McCary, physician and professor of public health. You know, Dr. McCary, there has been so much inconsistency, I should say, about this little boy, because first we heard he wandered away from home, then police said they believed it was suspicious circumstances. When you perform an autopsy, how easy or difficult would it be to find that a little boy drowned by just falling into a canal?
Well, that's the situation, which is essentially impossible to tell with all of modern science. We can tell if there's a bruise, if there's DNA evidence of a cross-contaminated person involved, or if there's a sign of a struggle of any kind. But a simple drowning, it would be almost impossible to know if the child simply fell or was pushed into the water.
Okay, back to Clark Goldman, Nancy Grace producer. Just minutes ago, there was a press conference by law enforcement in Boise, Idaho, and they had some words in that press conference that just seemed to turn this investigation in a different direction. Talk to us about that.
It seemed to shock everyone in the room. Law enforcement not saying that this hasn't concluded, but the investigation is actually just getting started. They are gearing up the search for who did this. They said they will find them, they will take their time, and they will make sure whatever happened, if there was a criminal act, those people will be brought to justice.
All right, Clark, let's let everybody listen to that press conference that just happened a short time ago. Listen to this.
We have received word from the Ada County Coroner's Office that a tentative identification has been made of the body found in the New York Canal as that of 8-year-old Robert Manwill. Preliminary autopsy results are still being evaluated. We are also still awaiting positive identification of the body that the Coroner's Office says must come from comparing dental records, a process that is still underway.
All right, back to Greg Hahn from the Idaho Statement. It was just last weekend that a home in your area was actually searched, even with dogs. Explain all that.
Well, there's actually two homes. The home of Robert's mother, Melissa Jenkins, and her boyfriend was searched as an apartment on this Vista Boulevard. You've been hearing about that is nearby this canal, less than half a mile away. But there was also a search at an acquaintance's house, a guy who we talked to, and he said, I don't really know what they're looking for. I know my car was stolen. Was stolen on Wednesday before Robert disappeared on a Friday night, and was mysteriously returned. He called police on Monday and said, I think I found it, but you guys look through it and see if somebody took it. A few days later, police came out to his house and did a pretty drastic search. They dug up the backyard. We still don't know what they found out of either of those two searches. And incidentally, that second house is also not far from where the body ultimately was found. Of course, the canal winds its way through the community, so even though they're pretty far away, the apartment and the house, they're both sort of near this body of water.
All right, to Detective Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, Nutley, New Jersey Police Department, former member of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, put this together for us, all right? A body has just been found. It is tentatively identified as Robert Manwill. There is now a press conference saying the autopsy is performed. The investigation is starting anew. This is an active investigation. Cause of death, manner of death, both are pending. What does it say to you?
It says to me that the turn of events has now led the police to conduct a very thorough homicide investigation. That's the direction I believe they're going in, and that's how they're going to probably conclude this, if they get all these pieces of evidence together.
And when can a death investigation actually become a homicide investigation?
Well, as soon as they get enough evidence that connect the dots. Now, they search the home. If they find blood trace evidence in that home, DNA in that home, connected to the body, you have a body which now becomes evidence.
And
you might have a homicide.
There is a lot more to talk about on this, but first, are you guilty of being Nancy Grace's #1 fan? Plead your case. Send us your extraordinary story.